All right, hi guys. We're going to keep going into the censorship issue. So, for the people that are still on the fence with the whole idea of, the free market and capitalism and that is the way when it comes to solving the censorship issue. For the people that are still on the fence about that, I want to go into a story that happened today, and I don't want to be a news channel. I don't want to be a channel that goes into the daily stuff. I find that to be very boring myself, but I think this should be talked about. So Microsoft has threatened to essentially drop hosting for Gab. So Gab is the place that decided to do the free market solution and say, you know what, Twitter, you can ban all the people you like, whatever. That's just going to hurt you in the long run. That's going to hurt your business. That's going to be the end of you. And we're going to be the business that does the same things as you, except for we support free speech the way that we're supposed to. So they decided to do that. But of course, Apple decided to not let them have an app on their store for a long time. And now, what was this, like a day ago, Microsoft is now threatening to drop the hosting for Gab. And, I'm not much of a tech person myself, but I would think that would basically be the end of Gab. And they're saying that they want to do this over hate speech. So, and the speech itself that they're saying that they want to get rid of Gab for is, I guess there was some user that said that something on the lines of like they want to get rid of all the Jews or something like that. So for that post, they're saying that Gab needs to get rid of that person. They need to censor that person, or Gab will lose their hosting. So for all the people saying, oh, the free market's the solution, that's what's going to save us, it's not. Like, usually, look, I am a capitalist for the most part, but I do understand that there are pros and cons to it. I do understand that. And I don't like regulation. I don't like telling people what to do, but we have to understand that in some instances, there has to be a little bit here and there. Most people don't really complain about some of the regulations that Teddy Roosevelt did. There needs to be some sort, I wouldn't really say a balance, but I wouldn't say all regulation is evil and all things like that are bad. I know there are some people, the with the full capitalism people, the Ancapistan types that are just like, oh no, don't tell us what to do. It should be like basically a free for all for the most part. I don't know. I've been very up and down. I didn't really know anything about politics in 2016. I voted for Trump just because I didn't like politicians. I didn't like corrupt people, and I didn't like the PC culture. The only person that was strong enough to be able to fight all of that was Trump. He was the only person. He wasn't a politician, and he said things that pissed off SJWs. That's all I needed. I didn't really care too much about policies or anything beyond that. Of course, ever since it happened, I started getting into it. I mean, when I first got into it, I didn't know the difference between a conservative and a liberal. And it's just been a full range of ideas and different people that I've talked to. But to think that the free market is going to save us when Gab is the company that went that route. They decided, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to be free speech. We're going to be the free speech alternative to Twitter. That's what they were going to be. That's the whole goal of their company. And they're being hit left and right as hard as possible by companies that have power over them. Microsoft, Apple. They're trying to destroy them. And you know what? I'm just going to throw this out there, but isn't it a little interesting that someone says something about getting rid of all the Jews, and then all of a sudden now they want to get rid of Gab? I mean, I've been on there, and trust me, people don't hold back on a lot of groups. But, it's just funny how that's the one that's going to get rid of everyone. Like, there's a lot of people saying a lot of stuff about a lot of groups, but that's the one. And it's funny how white nationalists in these groups, they talk about how Jews own everything. And then the higher-ups of these companies are like, oh, well, we're going to get rid of you because of that post that would attack the stereotypical people that would be in charge of things. Isn't that funny? It's funny stuff. The more I talk about this censorship issue, the more I start to lean on the idea of there should be some sort of internet bill of rights. But at the same time, do we really need a bill? I mean, all we need to just say is that essentially protecting free speech on the internet where ideas are exchanged is on the internet. It doesn't really happen outside anymore. That's just not how things work. Happens on the internet now. This is where free speech should be protected. This is where it happens. So I think it should just be like, I don't know if we need a bill to do that, but I do think we just need to let people know, hey, free speech should be protected on the internet. If I have a YouTube channel or something like that and I'm expressing my speech and my opinions and my ideas, and someone decides to say, hey, I don't like those, I don't like what you're saying, I'm just going to shut down your account. Like, that should be the whole point of the First Amendment, is to protect me. Look, if these companies want to get rid of me for breaking the rules or whatever, okay, that makes sense to a degree, as long as their rules make sense. You know, if you're trying to say, oh, well, we have a rule that says no hate speech, and we believe you're saying hate speech, when that's a very vague term, you know, I think people put vague things like that there on purpose so that they can go after whoever they want. They want the rules vague so that they can essentially go after whoever they want. But to get rid of someone because they said something, that's no different than with civil rights, where, you know, they campaign for all these ideas of, you know, you shouldn't be allowed to hire only whites or hire only blacks or hire only Asians, right? You should be hiring and associating with people based off merit things. Like, it shouldn't be based off, like, you know, you go to a business, it would say whites only or something like that, right? They didn't like that, right? They wanted more power in society, so they wanted to get rid of that so that there wouldn't be freedom of association. But on the internet, all of a sudden, the place where they have power, all of a sudden they're not for that. They're like, oh, well, we have power, so essentially we're just saying, like, essentially leftists only. We don't want conservatives. We don't want any sort of right-wing people whatsoever. And the minute you guys say something that remotely pisses us off, boom, you're gone. You know, just put on the blindfold and boom, that's it. So I do think that the only way forward, considering that right-wing people don't go into these fields, and two, the people that have decided to go into these fields are completely being attacked left and right. So we talk about, oh, we just need the free market. Gab has decided to do that, and they're about to be shut down. Infowars has been on these places. They're being shut down. There's nothing protecting any of us from any of this. At any point, you know, if this channel was really big, at any point, this whole channel could be completely shut down. I guess I could go make my own website or something like that. But, you know, considering these people, like, what was it, in the 60s, were the group that espoused the beliefs of peace and love and being tolerant and being open, and they talked about free speech so much and all of this stuff, and now they're on the completely opposite side of the spectrum, talking about how bigotry is good, how hate essentially is good, and how they need to punch us in the face, call us ad hominem names and insults instead of using arguments, chanting like ridiculous statements, breaking everything down, and just utterly destroying everything and attacking people. And that is what they stand for. And we'll see how the future goes. But at the end of the day, I support the regulation of the internet, or maybe better yet, I would say I would like the First Amendment to be upheld on the internet to protect all beliefs from everybody. And I don't know, maybe nowadays that's pretty edgy to say, but that's my stance, and thank you guys for watching.